The most entertaining season of Suncorp Super Netball continues, and tonight, a clash of the Premiership heavyweights. In the red corner, 2021 Grand Final winners, the New South Wales Swifts. In the green corner, 2022 Grand Final winners and our reigning champions, the West Coast Fever. Kim, run me through the home side.
Well, no surprises here. Bryony Akel has gone for a pretty solidified lineup. Aiken George and Housby in that attack end. The captains through the middle, and then Turner and Clow at the other end.
And Fever starting with a lineup that we are incredibly familiar with. The 150 gamer in Janelle Fowler will be supported by Sasha Glasgow. That familiar combo through the middle of Alice Teague-Neal, Verity Simmons and Jess Anstis, and the dynamic duo in defence, Sunday Ariang and Courtney Bruce.
The captain for the New South Wales Swifts, so proud, gets us underway. Housby, ball in hand. Didn't she respond beautifully last week from a quiet game the week before? Oh, what an easy one to start for the New South Wales Swifts. Undefended was Helen Housby. Well, they'll take that every day of the week because that's going to be few and far between, you would imagine.
Absolutely. I think the Fever setting their defensive intent from the off. Courtney Bruce out hunting and having a fly, but it gave Swifts that early, easy passage to goal, which I think they missed last week.
Where you are, wing defence come beside.
Well, the West Coast Fever can respond a number of ways. The long shot from Glasgow, all right here, under the post from the superstar, Janelle Fowler. Doesn't miss many from that range.
Stay middle, Busy, middle.
Hadley to Proud, dangerous ball. Oh, well, that is completely set up for that reason, isn't it, Stace?
Absolutely, and we said that Courtney Bruce was out hunting from that first centre pass, and she was, left wanting in that moment, but it's building something, and she's ably backed up by Ariang, who was able to pick up that interception, as we see there on the Harvey Norman replay.
Back to the transverse line, Jess Anstis, little push-up on the ball. Well, there's been a lot of talk about the physicality in this game. It will build. Well, not many teams can get a ball to a shooter double defended as easily as the West Coast Fever just did.
That is a nightmare feed for most coaches, a 2-on-1 in the circle, but with the Janelle Fowler and the pinpoint accuracy, as you said, Kath, you'd maybe throw a few more.
Well, she just exhales, doesn't she, and both defenders fall off her. Such is the strength of Janelle Fowler. Well played, Sasha Glasgow.
Contact, both out of play.
Yeah, she'll probably think twice about stepping in, though, to the defensive arm of a Sarah Clow. We'll get another shot at it here, so it could be a nice little buffer built early from the West Coast Fever. And Stacey, let's talk about their first halves. They've only lost 2 the entire season. Very strong starters.
Absolutely, and I think that does set an intent for the game. Where Fever have been lacking earlier on in the season was having a defender on the circle against Ramalda Aiken, that's for sure. But backing it up in the second half, they were able to do that the past few rounds, and so they'll be hoping to start strong but to carry it forward.
Well, we've seen Courtney Bruce have a couple of flies, just like Sarah Clow there, and that leaves that goal shooter home alone inside the circle. So Janelle Fowler will take that one.
The Jamaican internationals will be happy to play 60 minutes of netball like that.
You're not wrong about that, particularly with a World Cup happening this month. Can you believe it? It snuck up on us. Of course, all those games will be live on Fox at the end of the month. Helen Housby takes her first shot of the game. Penalties. Interesting to note early on how quickly that's blown out. The New South Wales Swifts 7-1.
It is. It's a very quick and high start for the penalty count. But I think what I am enjoying about the Swifts is that intent to try and slow ball down, to have a crack, because defensively they do turn over a little less, so they have to give it a go.
Housby goes direct to circle again to Aiken. Doesn't want to shoot the long shots. Well, this lady here, though, doesn't mind them at all. In fact, probably prefers them. Helen Housby won the difference. Let's get down to Kim Green, who's on the sideline for us, liking what you're seeing in the midcourt.
I'm absolutely loving it, Coxie. What I'm loving about the Swift centre pass in particular is that last week they were really stuck over that transverse line. Now they're trying to find that second, third phase really easily. They're doing it on double plays, so keep an eye on that one.
No one knows the midcourt quite like our Kim Green. So absolutely keep an eye on that little tidbit. Courtney Bruce! Massive, massive intercept from behind. 2 hands on the ball. That is not easy to do, Stacey.
You will not have a look at this on the Harvey Norman replay. The read and the ability to get up and over the attacker was incredible, but absolutely set up by the defensive unit. Swifts are on notice. There doesn't seem to be a safe space to put the ball that Courtney can't get to.
Well, how often do we say that about the defenders in this league? That's a big win in offensive contact against Janelle Fowler.
Mid-attack contact arm.
So the Swifts an opportunity to score here, get it back to 1, and stay within the hunt as the penalties continue to build for the Swifts. Well, Courtney Bruce can't challenge from behind, though, up against the Jamaican in Romelda Aiken-George. Ariang has to go back to Ansis, gets it back now. Teague Neal, Simmons, Glasgow out of the circle. Well, beautifully played all the way down the court. Safe, short and sharp for the West Coast Fever.
Absolutely, and using a bit of the Swiss magic that Kim mentioned earlier with those give and goes. Bez offloaded quickly and hit the circle edge, which makes that feed almost perfect.
Well, and impossible to stop from circle edge too, isn't it, into Janelle Fowler.
I can vouch for that, absolutely.
Plenty of people can. Helen Housby, well, she does, gets it back to the 1. Teague Neal, long ball, Glasgow on the same side of the court, back to Teague Neal. And she sits at the top of a number of stats this year, Alice Teague Neal, and that's because of the connection into Janelle Fowler. Well, there were some questions around the placement of that ball into Aiken-George last week. No such issues so far this game, Stacey.
No, Swift starting the game much more confidently than they did in the previous week, but also showing a bit of their trademark in that they're happy to work the ball around till they feel comfortable to put that ball in.
Teague Neal, there she is again, calling for something to come forward, and it's Janelle Fowler.
Yeah, interestingly though, the Swifts, which we've not seen from them too much, falling into a box there in that moment, which did force Fowler to come out through the middle to break it.
Hadley to Proud, back to Hadley. Fraser, a little pass. Well, everybody getting in defensively. Alice Teague Neal got the hand in. Romelda Aiken, well, seeing her at the top of the circle and outside it a lot early in this quarter as well. Happy to let her take that high ball knowing she's not going to shoot it.
Yeah, and I think that's why you have seen Courtney Bruce sit behind sometimes. She's happy to force her up because there's going to be an extra pass, which gives them an extra opportunity to have a crack at an intercept.
Well, remains 1 the difference. Simmons, Anstis, up the middle, Glasgow, and again, wide open to Janelle Fowler. Well, that centre pass happened in seconds.
It did, but it was beautiful first phase from the Swifts, but as soon as it kicked back, they relaxed for a moment. Clow was incredibly bold, came out and had a crack at the ball, but unfortunately found Fowler under the post.
Well, talk to me about coming out and having a go at those balls outside the circle early on when you're up against a Janelle Fowler. Surely your job is to stop her as much as possible.
You're right. I think the premise in general, when your team have been defeated, if we just take a pause here and have a look at that uncomfortable tumble by Paige Hadley, thanks to the Harvey Norman replay. These aren't my favourite.
Well, she's grabbed her knee straight away too, hasn't she? Looked a little ginger when she got up, so we'll keep an eye on Paige Hadley. If there's a rolling sub there, we might get Kim Green.
Oh, she does look uncomfortable in the back
go
of the
and
shot.
investigate that one. Shortly they'll want to give her a little breather, make sure she's fit and ready for the rest of this game.
Contact, wing defence.
Glasgow Teague Neal, couple of quick double plays. Glasgow sinks it.
Getting in her eye in early from that super shot range.
Well, let's talk about eye in early. Not a single miss from any shooter on the court at the moment. Phenomenal shooting stats in what is a very important game. Hadley, Proud. Again, a well-weighted ball to Romelda Aiken. Hasby sinks another, so that's her 6th of the game, doing the bulk of the shooting for the New South Wales Swifts, and the Nissan net points match leaders, Helen Housby. Hasn't she had a phenomenal second half of the season in particular? It's the standalone Swift and then a lot of green underneath.
Fever just showing that patience to work that ball through then to a shot, sitting at just under 100% already at centre pass, so Swifts will need to continue to roll the dice on those defensive structures to slow them down.
Well, clinical is certainly the word for this opening quarter, isn't it? Another ball, beautiful path into Romelda Aiken-George. 10 seconds away now from the first power 5 of the game.
Oh, excellent tip there by Sarah Clow. Her ability to get up while she was in the physicality of that contest. To be honest, I thought the ball was in, but she was saying otherwise.
Well, listen to the crowd. Didn't they love that contest from Sarah Clow? Right on the siren. Let's have a look at the Harvey Norman replay. Up in the air strongly, wasn't she, in the crumbs to Maddie Turner. Brilliant defensive combo in action for the New South Wales Swifts. And look how quickly they fly down court here, the Swifts. Only held up by a penalty outside. Romelda Aiken can get them to level. She does. Will not let the West Coast Fever get any further away here, the Swifts. Great ball over the top to Proud. Well, Courtney Bruce can't do anything at the moment.
Catching the eye of the umpire there early. She's going to have to adjust if she wants to continue to have an impact on the game, but she will get a chance to get out of this third in the next quarter.
Well, the key for her now is not to get frustrated, because we've seen that. We see the chat going the direction of the umpires. Teague Neal, beautiful ball, Fowler. Well, not a single super shot to be looked at just yet. They're chipping away here, both sides. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Proud. Housby. Beautiful ball. Great placement. Bounce pass to Hadley. Housby again does so much work at the top of the circle here for the Swifts. Well, now they're just fighting for it.
Oh, an unlucky call there. I think Courtney Bruce was hoping for a replayed ball, but was called. Well, actually, I don't even know what she was called for.
Oh, rings out Helen Housby, and you saw the face. Yeah, Courtney Bruce wanting to get on with it. Gemma Cook, however, wants to keep in control of this game as well. West Coast Fever. 3 minutes to go in this first quarter. Teague Neal.
Beautiful through-court play there by West Coast Fever. They'd be smart to try and sit behind Ariang and stop those driving balls going out of the defensive third.
Fowler sinks another. 10 from 10 for Janelle Fowler, so all but 4 for the West Coast Fever. Alice Teague Neal, Simmons, Glasgow. We saw Sarah Clow have a good look at that one there, and the mismatch. An easy one to get to Fowler. So they get back out to 2, the West Coast Fever. Swift centre pass to follow, though. Have a look at those stats. How impressive for a preliminary final. Sophie Fawns, the rolling substitute for the New South Wales Swifts. Anstis! Well, she read it beautifully, didn't she? Got in there in the gap, 2 hands, took it strongly.
Incredible anticipation of that moment there by Jess, as we see here on the Harvey Norman replay, coming off of her own player to intercept a ball and steal that opportunity away from Verity.
Great work down the other end too from Sarah Clow to get off the body, around in front and disrupt the pass to Fowler. Jess Anstis intercept gets the West Coast Fever out by 3, and it'll be our first HCF tactical timeout. The New South Wales Swifts wanting to have a chat here, make sure this gap doesn't get any further than 3 out in this opening quarter. We will get straight down and have a listen to Bryony Akel.
Keep hands up. getting way too easy into that circle because you don't have the hands up first, right? Big presence, big hands. Jumping the wall is good, so keep that up. But at second phase, let's try and keep them up higher. I think we're chasing a bit then hands. So get up behind in this 2-point time, push back up. Big hands, stay in play, no second shot. Double? We got this, it's fine, all right? Stay circle edge when they're shooting. Remember, one at the top, one at the base, because if they want to swing, it's on. All right, I feel like we can lift another energy in terms of connecting and voice. Every single player out here has to do this right now. Right, let's go.
Let's go, Reggie, let's go.
Let's go, guys, also swim.
Jess, that's awesome, okay? If you put enough pressure on the front, we pick it up. Girls, let's go. Girls, let's go.
Let's come out of this break, guys, really aggressively, ferocious West Coast fever. Let's go, come on.
3 by 3, 1, 2, 3.
Well, there you go. Both coaches, I think, genuinely pretty happy, but they want more in terms of the intensity, Stacey. What else did you pick up in those huddles?
Yeah, the Swifts huddle is so interesting. Bryony Aker's absolutely right. The first phase and the wall specifically of centre pass defence for the Swifts is incredible. They're doing a really good job of slowing the ball down. But Fever is still able to access the circle, so she wants hands over to put a bit more pressure on that feed, but mostly just continuing to bring that positive energy and the vibe, because they're doing a great job, but they're very mindful they don't want the score to go out anymore.
Well, been a few changes too in that timeout. O'Shannessy into goalkeeper, pushing Sarah Clow to goal defence, Maddie Turner to wing defence. So a bit more height now to maybe challenge the 150 gamer in Fowler.
Swifts having no attention for Sasha having super shots in this quarter so far. Great pressure.
There it's 4 as it is. They don't want that to be any more because of super shots, do they? Fawns got herself in the sweet spot. Oh, it's in from Courtney Bruce. She had a couple of those against Shamira Sterling last week. I tell you what, it's hard to recover from that when that's your first touch of the game.
Oh, as we see here, excellent anticipation and timing from Bruce on the Harvey Norman replay. I'm not a shooter, but I know that if I'm able to get a tip on the shooter's shot, I feel like you're winning a mental battle.
I would agree with you 100%. Courtney Bruce knows that as it slips through the hands of Sunday Ariang. So a chance for the Swifts here with 42 seconds left on the clock. Well, surely they're going to go to Helen Housby for a super shot.
But the beauty of the combo that they've got out there at the moment is a Fawns is a threat for the super shot too.
And nails it. Great to see from Sophie Fawns that she continues to attack the post. She gets it back to 2. Just over 15 seconds away from the end of the first quarter. Teague Neal waiting patiently. The clock counting down. Well, silly mistake, you would imagine. A penalty on Glasgow in one of their favourite spots on the court. Sasha Glasgow nails it. Well, she gives them back that 4-point buffer right on the siren of the first quarter. It's prelim final here at Kudos Bank Arena, and the West Coast Fever lead the New South Wales Swifts 19-15.
Welcome back to Kudos Bank Arena. Thanks to Origin Energy, this is the quarter time break. In the preliminary final, the West Coast Fever take a 4-goal lead over the Swifts as we head into the second quarter. But ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by former New South Wales, former Australian Rugby League player Nathan Hindmarsh. This guy knows box office television when he sees it. Hindy, great to see you. You're a Netty fan. How'd you get into the great sport?
Well, my wife is a big Netty fan. She's friends with Bryony, the coach of the Swifts, so of course we follow the Swifts at home. But the bad thing about being here is I can't change seats away from my wife. She's very loud.
Okay.
I'm not a loud person when it comes to watching sport. I sit and I watch where she screams and carries on. So I'm stuck beside her for the rest of the night, unfortunately.
Plenty of screamers at Kudos tonight.
God.
It's a great atmosphere, isn't it?
It is so loud here. I can't believe how loud it is. It's louder here than it is at a footy game.
I have to agree with that. It's wonderful to see you here. We're hoping to cheer the Swifts over to a victory because of your connections. Tomorrow night on Sunday night with Matty Johns, who's on the show.
We've got Harry Grant. He's on the show tomorrow night, so a big show. We'll dissect all the games. Obviously look at the Cowboys giving it to the bloody Tigers. Oh yeah, smashed it, so yeah.
All right, all the footy action tomorrow, Sunday night with Matty Johns, but let's turn our attention back to the prelim final. Let's get back to the action, Cap.
Thank you, Hannah. Thanks, Nathan and Bonnie. Hindmarsh, turn it up a notch. I think Nathan needs a little bit louder in his ear. Thank you very much. Fowler takes another and takes the Fever to the 4 goals where they sat in that opening quarter, at the end of that opening quarter. Long ball. That screams confidence to me. Courtney Bruce is in the circle, yet they threw that long one that wasn't going through so well last week.
Yeah, brilliant start to the second quarter for the Swifts.
Big crowd in here at Kudos Bank Arena. They'll be praying for a win to the Swifts first and foremost, but a much more comfortable scoreline than what they had to endure last week. Janelle Fowler proving very hard to stop in the early minutes of this prelim final. Another one under the post for her. This will be her 15th of the match. And let's get down to Kim Green, who had an ear in the West Coast Fever huddle at quarter time.
Yeah, well, Dan Ryan is pretty happy with his troops. He commented that they are challenging the ball, but also rewarding everyone with that ball. So he's pretty happy with that. But something to keep an eye on is when the Swifts do a wall or a 2v1 on a centre pass, he really wants Sasha punching and then also Alice going wide. So one going through the middle, one going wide, and not running as much, like just changing up the angles and also, yeah, just, you know, changing it up with their prelims.
For those of you listening at home, just to clarify, when Kim Green says wants Sasha punching, she means driving through the middle.
Absolutely.
That may come later in the game, but for now, just a nice strong drive through the middle. Go. There she is, Sasha Glasgow out of the circle. Teague Neal, ball in hand. Janelle Fowler as casual as you like.
Too casual by the looks of it, because she missed that one, but able to gain her rebound.
Well, she doesn't care about the defenders in front of her. Will always take that little step in front, shorten the distance.
Absolutely right. She's protecting those stats.
Turner, proud. Back to Turner. Needs someone. Here it comes, Hadley. Housby. Yeah, patient here, the New South Wales Swifts, aren't they? Helen Housby, still not happy with that distance, interestingly enough. We know she can sink those any day of the week. Making absolutely sure of it, the New South Wales Swifts. Time to goal, well, very, very similar. Both getting the job done efficiently. Simmons, talk about efficient. Janelle Fowler again. Well, she's the most dominant shooter on court, no surprises. 17 from 18 now, 94%. Housby, again. The placement this week, so good, because she's looking what Courtney Bruce is doing and putting the ball. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's the best place for Aiken George at the time. She's reading the defender this week.
Absolutely, and that's so important. And for me, sometimes it's the speed at which the ball's going in as well. So,
Well, an absolute hospital pass from Fowler into Glasgow.
Can you call a contact on the post? Because I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
Well, we've seen a post bent before, haven't we, at the Commonwealth Games? There it is, straight into it, Sasha Glasgow. You can see Sarah Clow put her hands up. That had nothing to do with me. Well, she had to go for it, didn't she? Trying to keep the ball in play.
Yeah, absolutely. Umpire deeming the work before the moment of the collision with the post was the contact, but uncomfortable moments, and you will put your body on the line for your team, but you don't want that to happen too often.
Well, you're particularly going to do it in a prelim final, aren't you, Ariang? What a win over Aiken George. Gives away valuable centimetres, but it didn't matter then, and she's continuing to take the hits.
Great defensive effort there by Paige Hadley, getting up and having a crack. So we see here, though, the outside arm from Sunday Ariang and the chase down to pick up her own crumbs. Fever will be wanting to reward this.
I tell you what, the ball placement in this game has been second to none, and that's why we're seeing very few turnovers. Only 3 for the West Coast Fever. Simmons. Well, waits for the drive from Glasgow to come through, shift the defenders, and then straight over the top finds Fowler with ease. They've taken it out by 6, Stacey. 5 minutes away from the second power 5 of the game, and here's your last 10. See that run of 3 from the West Coast Fever, the reigning premiers. Aiken George gets them back to 5. And we heard Bryony Akel in that timeout, well, ask for exactly that. She wants more energy, and she said that a couple of times, Stacey, from her side. Does it look like the Swifts are a little flat?
I think what the Swifts are struggling with is that celebration of small wins. So they're doing some great things defensively. They are taking ball patiently through attack. As we see Maddie Proud pleading for the ball to go in her direction. But they're not building their own vibe, their own momentum of the good stuff that is happening.
Well, Sarah Clow, she went strongly, didn't she?
She's having a cracking start to this game and doing the most to get Swifts back into it, scoreline and momentum.
Yeah, somebody on the team's got to lift them, don't they? If that's what Bryony Akel's asking for, who's going to be the person to bring the energy? Well, I tell you what, in 4 minutes' time, Helen Housby's super shot generally does the job, doesn't it?
Absolutely, as we see a miscommunication there on the pass. Jess Anstey's very quick to get the pick up.
Oh, straight back though to Turner! And gets rid of the ball before she falls out of court. Well, that will bring the energy to the New South Wales Swifts if they needed it. Particularly if Housby sinks this. Have a look at the work from Turner. 2 hands, the little flick under. Well, Maddie Turner, is that the momentum shift that they wanted, the New South Wales Swifts?
Excellent and early defensive pressure off the turnover there, especially as it was their centre pass.
Simmons, Glasgow, back to Simmons. Another tip from Maddie Turner. Oh, big effort coming from O'Shannessy.
Yeah, there's absolutely a mental battle, not just a physical one when you're playing against a Janelle Fowler. You have to continue to keep that pressure and that effort going for 60 minutes. It isn't always going to be rewarded, but something is going to fall your way at some point, and you have to be ready.
Well, a lot of defenders talk about the wins coming in the 50th minute of the game, don't they?
That's what we tell ourselves.
Yeah. Whatever it is to get you by. 5 the difference, the West Coast Fever. Sunday Ari Angle, she had to work hard to keep possession, didn't she? Look how quickly the West Coast Fever flicked the ball around the top of the circle, and again, the casual take from the Jamaican sensation. Yep, Proud wanting to get on with that penalty too, particularly in light of a defender being out of the circle. Aiken George sinks another yet to miss from Elder Aiken George, 11 from 11. Well, we saw the Nissa net points moments ago. It was Housby at the top, now Verity Simmons. Snuck past, but still 4 of the West Coast Fever. Okay, a big opportunity here for the New South Wales Swifts. A little fumble through the hands of Sasha Glasgow.
And Bryony Akel bringing the changes here. Gorman Brown came on earlier at the wing attack, but Paige Hadley has re-entered the court now at centre and is no doubt going to bring a ferocious pace through that mid-court.
Aiken George, another, you can hear the defensive call on the jump.
It's an important centre pass for me, Kath, for the Swifts to be able to capitalise off of that turnover, a mini break if they can score off of their own centre pass.
And another brilliant ball from Helen Housby. 12 feeds for the game, Helen Housby, only a couple behind Maddie Proud, so she's doing a wealth of work out the front.
Saving herself for those super shots.
Listen to the crowd now start to come alive, a minute away from the second power 5. The Swifts got themselves in a much better position now, just down the 3. Glasgow. Back to Simmons, Glasgow. Well, you see that quite a bit, that quick double between the two. Oh, unlucky Sarah Clow. She was just trying to get out of the way. Yep, the crowd agree. Well, there's Latrell Mitchell. All the big guns in to watch this contest today. Wonder if they're taking notes.
Obstruction.
Helen Housby, the smarts to let that dribble a little closer to the post. 3 the difference, the New South Wales Swiss 20 seconds away from the Power 5. Anstis back to Simmons. Goes long, Fowler. Simmons again. And again into Fowler. Well, it's a safe bet to put it in the air at the moment, isn't it?
It is, but I think that feed was more forced than it was by design. The Swifts had a really great box on out in front. Nobody was punching through the middle. There weren't any give and goes. And so, if in doubt, wang it into Janelle Fowler.
Oh, big touch from Jess Anstis there. There's your goal assist. So, Helen Housby sitting at the top of the list with a couple of mid-quarters, as you would expect, underneath. Just heard the siren for the Power 5. Helen Housby missed one earlier. So a couple of misses in a row for the queen of the Suncorp Super Shot this season. Housby sunk 86 of them, can you believe it? Sitting at 68% from distance. Amazing stats.
The Roses will be devastated that there's no super shot at a World Cup.
Everybody else will be pretty happy about that, though, I'd imagine. Over the top, Janelle Fowler. We can see the definite, distinctive 2-on Sasha Glasgow. Happy to let Fowler shoot the game out and just take the ones.
Absolutely, and it's a real mixture of tactics going on defensively in the super shot zone. Obviously, both teams have a threat in Sasha Glasgow and Helen Housby. Swifts really keen to put on that 2-on-1, and to the point where it does leave the goal shooter at the post. Fever being, I think, a little bit more bolder, trying to still hedge their bets and have a crack at the 2, but they'll be challenged now, having Swifts made a change and pulled the trigger on both of their super shot threats.
Well, look at Janelle Fowler. She wants one desperately. Doesn't want to be the one to shoot it, though. So that just puts enormous pressure on Sasha Glasgow, though, doesn't it? She's double defended, having to find some space in what is limited. Big miss. Now, it looked like an air ball, but Sasha Glasgow also looking to the coach and to the umpire, so maybe there was a tip on the wrist that we didn't see.
No, for me, it was really smart work by the circle edge defender, who was also Courtney Bruce. Oh my goodness, so far from home and able to pull that ball in and turn momentum back in the favour of West Coast Fever. As we see here, the circle edge defender had hands over the shot.
Was too. Taylor Fraser, well picked up. Stacey Francis-Bayman, the defence from behind. Well, that's the other thing that you've got to deal with when you're shooting the longer shots, isn't it?
Yeah, the closer you are to the edge, the closer you are to more defenders.
No, nobody wants to be in that position. There's the gains. Courtney Bruce, well, she had 5 in that opening quarter. Another win here. O'Shannessy, well, we talked about the battle, the continual battle on someone like a Fowler and when those little wins might come. Well, that one's come pretty early in the game, really, through the hands of Glasgow. Sophie Fawn's back on 2 for the New South Wales Swifts. Housby hasn't sunk one yet, but will not be defeated. The tip on the ball will give her another shot at it. Helen Housby sinks the first of the game. I'd imagine there's a few more to come from the English international. She gets them back to 3. The centre pass to follow. Breaking call. Well, a coach killer.
It is, and Bryony Akel's doing a fantastic job of being a stoic coach in that coach's box, but you'd be seething on the inside.
Well, they just gave that opportunity straight to the West Coast Fever and the centre pass to follow. That's what can happen. Janelle Fowler, 26 goals already.
Wow, a 3-second call there by the umpire. That hands over by Maddie Turner, slowing the feed down and bringing the umpire into the game.
Well, it's gifted the New South Wales Swifts another shot here. Helen Housby sunk one here from moments ago. Dishes off to Fawns. And Fawns sinks it. Well, Sophie Fawns, 2 from 3 in Suncorp Super Shots. And have a look at the score now. How's that second phase from Maddie Proud? This will bring the house down. Sophie Fawns, the youngster, the hands in the air. Gets them to level just over 40 seconds from the main break. West Coast Fever, plenty of time. Janelle Fowler, I'm done with waiting. I'm going to have a crack myself, and she does. Well, Dan Ryan likes it. There's enough time here for the New South Wales Swifts, though. Have a look, Bryony Akel saying shorten it up, keep in control, keep possession. Sophie Fawns, well, she's got the hot hand at the minute, doesn't she? Oh, doesn't dribble in. Running out of time here. Sophie Fawns has got to get it up quickly. Oh, she can't make it sink, Sophie Fawns, but what a fight back from the New South Wales Swifts. The Fever taking the first quarter by 4. The New South Wales Swifts taking that second quarter by the 2 goals off the hand of a couple of super shots from the youngster, Sophie Fawns. What a way to respond, Sophie Fawns. Welcome back, Kudos Bank Arena here in Sydney, preliminary final time. And we're just at half-time at the moment. And we're gonna have a look at the half-time stats because there's a couple of them I wanna run past you, Stacey, particularly the penalties. That's just the contacts. When you include both of them, the Swifts are sitting at 40 at the moment versus 20 for the West Coast Fever. At the moment, just 2 the difference. Does it make any difference, really? We talk a lot about penalties. Yeah, it is significant, but I think the Swifts are able to continuing to able to build pressure, and it's not releasing momentum for them in the match or necessarily pulling the umpires negatively in their favour. Okay, good call. Keep an eye on it. Let's go down to the Swifts head coach, Bryony Akel, though, while we can. Bryony, thanks for joining us. We've heard you say a few times in that opening half and talking to your team about bringing the energy. Have you liked what you've seen towards the latter half of that second quarter?
Yeah, certainly. I think from being 5 down to 2 down, I think we did a much better job at staying composed and backing each other in those crucial moments.
Bryony, I'd love to talk to you about what looks to me like some tactical execution of using that depth of your bench. You've obviously run the changes really early today and they've had fantastic impact. Do you continue to do that?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I think we've got a team of 10 here that can do the job, and certainly just, mixing the changes out there just gives your opposition something else to think about.
And then we've been talking non-stop in commentary about Helen Housby's impact on the game, but mostly through the volume of fees that she's putting in out there. Do you think that potentially could detract from her workload in the circle?
No, I think, Helen can adjust a game as, she reads the play well, she knows when to get injected into the game, and certainly when she's working with Sophie, I think that changes. So, yeah, watch this space, I think, in regards to that. Oh, Bryony Akel, we are all watching this space. All the best for the next 30 minutes of play. Thanks, guys. Well, as I said, just 30 minutes of action left, and we will know who meet the Adelaide Thunderbirds in that grand final next weekend. John Cain Arena on Saturday night. Straight into the action is the co-captain, Paige Hadley.
But set up by that defensive pressure of Sarah Clow. I'm loving what she's doing out there at goal defence today. We're obviously more traditionally used to seeing her at the goalkeeper position, but get you a girl that can do both.
Bryony Akel on the constant search for those players. Fowler. Well, surely this is a given for her. 2 defenders out of play next to her. Janelle Fowler, the 27th of the game. Helen Housby. Well, we talked a lot about her, and I might get down to Kim Green in a moment and ask, just as we see that ball go over the top to Aiken George. She sinks it. Kim Green, Helen Housby at the moment, more assists and feeds than the mid-court. They're only a couple down, so it's not affecting the play, but is that an issue for the mid-court in terms of finding space?
Well, we're certainly seeing that the last couple of weeks that Housby has done so much work out the front that then it does stall her down a little bit lower in the court. I think the change for Proud to go back to wing attack is a really good one from Bryony Akel, because Proud is one of those feeders that is going to drive and continue to take on the body, and that's something that she's done really well already in this quarter. But Hadley is still a little bit quiet for mine. The last 2 weeks been really quiet, but hasn't quite stood up in this game.
All right, keep an eye on that work between the 3 attackers, Housby, Proud and Hadley. There they are. Let's not forget Aiken George, the go-to. Still has not missed 16 from 16. Matt Avellino, Bryony Akel, the coaches for the Swifts. Glasgow, well, O'Shannessy had a good look at it, didn't she?
She did, and was ably backed up by Clough, who hot-tailed it to get into the circle.
Well, look at the constant movement from O'Shannessy. I mean, that's the only real way to play Fowler, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to confuse the space, get physical with her, try and off-put her in any way that you can. She's doing a great job so far, and has obviously seen relatively low minutes in the season so far, so huge effort from her in a huge game.
Back to Turner, Proud. Turner again. Hadley, well, this was the area against the Adelaide Thunderbirds. The Swifts got stuck a few times trying to get across this transverse line. Patient, though, this time. Now they find circle edge. And Helen Housby hasn't missed in regular time.
We've seen a battle of the boxes defensively by the two teams. Fevers is actually a little bit more of a diamond. They're very happy to sit incredibly high, leaving Romalda Aiken completely empty under the post, daring Swifts to throw that ball in, and they're refusing to fall into that trap.
Push up, push up, push up!
There's Nerida Stewart too, the assistant coach for the West Coast Fever. Was a player with the Swifts back in the day. Over the top, Romelda Aiken-George. Get them back to 2 here. So goal for goal early in this third quarter. Simmons, Ariang.
Goal attack.
Housby all with a smile on the face. Simmons again. Well, the contact's coming thick and fast. Fowler. There's those contacts on the bottom of your screen. And Unisa net points later. Well, Helen Housby was sitting at the top of that list and she's slipping down. I don't know that she's slipping so much as the West Coast Fever are starting to rise to the challenge.
Absolutely. I don't think I ever got much over 51 Nissan net points in a game. She's already there into the third quarter.
Sunday Ariang. Simmons.
Here we go. Swifts giving us their best effort at the box for us to compare.
Well, again, it forced Fowler out. That's the whole idea behind it, isn't it? Someone has to pick up Sasha Glasgow, though. Proud. Ignored Housby at the top of the circle. Found an unmanned Paige Hadley. And again at the top. Well, great position from Paige Hadley. Using all the footwork to get around, get ball side. Aiken-George. We generally see a few misses from her under the post, and so far in this prelim final, rock solid. Ariang. 5 minutes away from the Power 5. Well, again, the placement back to where it was in that first quarter. Oh, Janelle Fowler. The one hand up, rips it into safety. Housby. Hadley, Housby, quick double. Well, it's just going goal for goal very easily now for both sides. So who's going to pick up the defensive pressure first? Which team? Where's that big intercept coming?
All those small wins.
Spoken like a true defender.
Absolutely.
The pop forward from Janelle Fowler. I was going to say that's a long-range shot from her, but not if she steps into the hands. No. Very characteristic of Janelle Fowler.
Yeah, and quite demoralising as a defender. You feel like you've done a really good job of pushing her out, and she takes half a step and she's back under the post again.
Doesn't care about the hands over defence whatsoever. Well, Fowler, sorry, Aiken-George was right in front.
It was a bit of an optimistic feed for me from Proud there. Sunday Ariang was straight onto it.
Contact in defence beside.
Well, that's the play. That might be the one that breaks this goal for goal in this third quarter. Sasha Glasgow. Well, the centre pass now to come to for the West Coast Fever. Out by 4. Glasgow Simmons, long ball, Fowler. Here's your score breakdown. So taken one each early here for the New South Wales Swifts and the West Coast Fever. Fever up by 2 in this third quarter.
Throwing Fever.
Yeah, little intertwine of the arms there between O'Shannessy and Glasgow. Janelle Fowler, the 34th of the game. 97% shooting. She's such a superstar, she'd probably be disappointed with that. She's missed one.
She does hold herself to incredibly high standards, bearing in mind that her high standards are a glass ceiling that most of us could never break through.
Right, never shot 100% game, so there you go. Something she does very, very regularly. Well, that is the first miss of the game. Speaking of percentages, Aiken George was sitting at 100 prior to that.
But is a force on the offensive rebound, so doesn't mind a miss too much. Is up against one of the best defensive rebounders in the league, though, in a Courtney Bruce.
Ball, beautiful placement from Alice Teague-Neal. Didn't need to be high. She recognised the gap had presented itself. Straight through the middle.
Bryony Akel pulling the trigger on her depth of defence and changes on her bench. Gorman Brown coming into the wing attack position.
Yeah, she has gone to the bench all season, Bryony Akel. Continues to do so. Oh, well, Courtney Bruce again. So a couple of balls probably forced in from the Swifts when they've been so incredibly clinical. Good time to get down to Kim Green, who wanted to comment about the defence from the West Coast Fever.
Well, I was just looking at them intently because they're just so suffocating in that defence end. They're doing boxes, they're doing slides, they're doing one-on-ones, they're changing it up every couple of plays, and it is keeping the Swifts on their toes. You see the change of Gorman Brown in that wing attack position, and that is because they can't get to circle edge. But that is because of the hard work from the Fever. They're doing a fantastic job down this end.
Well, there's the one leading the charge, the captain, Courtney Bruce. Massive game last week. 15 deflections alone last week, Courtney Bruce. It was an absolute menace. Turn it to Clow. The defenders having to do a lot of work in attack here. Helen Housby up high again, Paige Hadley. The sweet spot, top of the circle.
Next to the keeper. Yes.
Aiken George will continue to chip away at the ones. 20 seconds away, though, from the power 5, and you can see her running off at the end of that shot. Sophie Fawns, you can see the back of screen running onto court, and that's because she's got the hot hand at the minute, finished with a couple of super shots right before half-time for the Swifts.
Contact with defender.
Good screen, Sasha Glasgow. Janelle Fowler right on the siren.
It'll be interesting to see how Fever approach this power 5. Verity Simmons felt like that they pushed to try and shoot twos a little bit too much in the first half of the game, and I agree. I think they just need to continue to keep their score rate high. Oh, as Helen Housby's super shot rims out there, very uncharacteristic for her this season, but not in the game today.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Sitting at 1 from 4 super shots at 25%. So normally we call for the ball to get to her. Sophie Fawns, I think, has got to take some control here. 5 down now, the New South Wales Swifts. Could be 6. It is, and the centre pass to follow for the West Coast Fever.
Feels like a balloon has been deflated a little bit inside here. You can hear the MC in the background trying to get the crowd involved, but it really does just happen with the blink of an eye. The Fever seem to manage to flick a switch, take a turnover to goal, and just take the wind out of a team's sails.
Well, that is another one to the Fever. A timeout maybe coming from Bryony Akel. No, it's a big change coming from Bryony Akel. And there is your last 10, 7 of the last 10 to the West Coast Fever.
Yeah, it's just those mini runs that you see in there. It doesn't take very much, but it's the consistency of those little runs that start to build out a score.
Well, it's got to be a super shot here, surely. Sorry to cut you off there, Stace.
I would love to see a super shot. I also love to see Jess Anstis on that contest there. Swift's been made to work incredibly hard for the shot.
They are, well, Helen Housby, as we said, missed 3 of them already. Can she find the radar? She's got it back, Helen Housby.
She's not going to dwell on those misses for too long. Helen is the biggest game player that I know. Regardless of what her percentage says right now, I would still put the ball in her hands if it was a do-or-die shot at the end of the game.
Well, Janelle Fowler, she'll sink this, so it stays at 6. Plenty of time here, though, for the New South Wales Swifts to lessen this gap. You see Sophie Fawn's back at play, and Proud just taking a hit there. Courtney Bruce.
Proud being welcomed back onto the court there with a little bump by Bruce, as we see Housby.
Oh, rims out again for Helen Housby. Well, she needs to find the radar, doesn't she? Because they so heavily depend on that. Have a look at the rebounds. That's the issue with those super shots not falling at the moment.
It absolutely is, and Courtney Bruce is a weapon in that defensive circle on the rebounds. She's ready to pick the ball up, and it is strange to see Helen's shot going this way. She is taking the ball relatively comfortably as well in that super shot period, which defensively is what you like to do. You want to try and build that physicality, make them take ball under pressure, so then they feel hurried on the shot. But again, I'd still bet some money on her to do a job when it's needed.
2 minutes to play here. Well, Verity Simmons throws it away. Sasha Glasgow throws her body on the line, trying to keep that ball alive.
Not happy with that pass. A little bit optimistic there of Verity trying to feed her into space. They just need to play what is in.
She did, didn't she? Puts it right out in front. Sophie Fawns had the hot hand, gives it to Helen Housby. Well, no one wants to shoot it. Fawns finally sinks it. 4 from 7. Suncorp super shots for Sophie Fawns for the difference. 1.5 minutes to play. Janelle Fowler, well, she sunk one moments ago. Can she another? She can't. The rebound Glasgow can't hang on to. So that gives the New South Wales Swifts another big opportunity.
And the boos ringing out around the arena every time Fowler goes to take a super shot. They're obviously happy to call that territory Helen Housby is and nobody else is.
Swifts down by 2 in this quarter. Proud, the experience back on the court. There she is. What can she do? What can she muster? The swing, Gorman Brown. Not wholly in the space, so couldn't shoot it forwards. Helen Housby.
Didn't look comfortable on that shot for me. She was falling forward.
Doesn't look comfortable at all, does she? Even the grimace on the face afterwards. An opportunity gone begging for the New South Wales Swifts. There's your attempts. 14 super shot attempts already for the New South Wales Swifts as Fowler takes another. Gets them out to 5, the difference. 10 seconds on the clock for the New South Wales Swifts. Well, the West Coast Fever smart with their penalties, chewing up the clock. They need to sink one here, the Swifts. Sophie Fawns. Well, she's got to shoot it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the Swifts would have wanted that penalty necessarily in that moment. It was in the one.
Welcome back to the quarter time break. Thanks to Origin. I was sitting in the Fever huddle and what they were talking about. Dan Ryan super happy with his side. He loves the position that they're in going into this last quarter, and he wants more. Stace, what did you hear?
Thanks, Kim. Very calm vibe going on in the Swift circle. They really want that intent on hands over to try and interfere that feed into the circle. More defensive intent. If they're going to have a crack at the ball, then go and commit. Keep that movement and get off the body. And interestingly, Bryony doesn't want those little chip passes. She wants the Swifts to be confident, let the ball go, be aggressive to goal.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Stacey. We are 15 minutes away from knowing our second grand finalist. Who is playing the Adelaide Thunderbirds next week? Whose season is over? Well, an early turnover through the hands of Janelle Fowler, so the Swifts an early opportunity off the back of it. Stacey, quite often we talk about Helen Housby being the barometer for the Swifts' performances. In the quarter-time break, we saw her out shooting some goals at the post. Is that something to be concerned about?
I think it's good. She has an awareness that there's a bit lacking in her game and more to give, so she's going to the post to build confidence, and she is that barometer, and she also brings that passion as well. She's an aggressive player. She likes to be in and around the game, shouting, and I think the team really vibe off of that.
Well, the good news for the New South Wales Swifts is this seems to be the scoring quarter. And they are up at 2 straight away for the New South Wales Swifts to open their account. They're back to 3 in the blink of an eye.
And a huge and interesting stat that we just had on the screen, 8-2 to the Swifts' favour of turnovers to goal. Fever usually sitting top of the league for those gains to goal ratio, and it's way down today, which just shows that they have more to give.
Taking a big deep breath was Janelle Fowler. Simmons will take the penalty, Glasgow. Oh, the knock on the post, the ball rings out. She looks to the umpire. The Swifts don't care, they are down court.
Oh my gosh! Courtney is not interested in that knock on the post. She is eyes for the ball, intent to keep the West Coast Fever in this game and push them to the final next week.
Well, that is a captain's knock, isn't it? The fourth quarter, it looked like the Swifts were gaining some momentum. Enter the captain, Courtney Bruce. Have a look at this Harvey Norman replay, very similar to what we saw in the first quarter. Another tip from Bruce.
Starting this quarter like she means business. She knows that the season is on the line here.
Well, Courtney wants back-to-back premierships, and to get them, they've got to get into this grand final and a win here right now.
So we see here that game stat on the screen, 9 to Courtney Bruce, incredible effort.
Glasgow, touch pass to Fowler. Glasgow, the entry. Well, nice little change-up from the West Coast Fever. Janelle Fowler takes her 24th of the game, just the one miss. Dan Ryan is up and about.
I'm not sure I've seen him sat in that seat today. He's fully aware of what is on the line in today's game.
Clow finds a free, Gorman Brown.
Contact, wing defence.
Unlucky pressure release there by the contact from Jess Anstis.
Well, Gorman Brown doing so much work around that top of the circle, as is Romelda Aiken-George. There she is, Gorman Brown, taking much-deserved rest in this game. So back to the 2 co-captains on court, Hadley and Proud. Bryony Akel may be sensing this is about to get serious for the difference.
And what a challenge defensively has Jess Anstis had on her hands tonight. Her player has changed every 5 to 7 minutes. They're different, they're fresh, but she's been able to keep a real calm and steady vibe about that defensive end and keep their structure.
Well, the change is probably due to her own good form in this game as well.
I would be panning myself there.
There she is, Jess Anstis. Simmons. Nice ball over the top, Alice Teague-Neal. Fowler. Well, Teague-Neal, one of those players that goes about a business under the radar. But 35 feeds for this game. The most on court of any player.
Yeah, not to be sniffed at at all. And then Maddie Turner is wearing her like a cheap suit, has incredible hands over, but she's still able to put in those pinpoint passes at the moment.
Well, under a little bit of pressure there was Maddie Proud, gets it off to Housby. Back to Proud again now, over the top. Well, Courtney Bruce continues to challenge.
Where the ball is now. Yep.
She is, and like we spoke earlier, that mental battle and the mindset you can see out there from her is incredibly positive. The fact that she's able to take the umpire's whistle and move on from it, continue to be aggressive defensively, that's when we see her at her best.
Well, she was heavily penalised early in the game and did go a little quiet, so she's starting to inject herself in the contest again. What a time to do it. Simmons back to Ariang. Again, Anstis, who's coming through the gap. Alice Teague-Neal. Simmons. Teague-Neal again. Well, that's the workload that she does out the front.
And a beautiful box there by the Swifts as well. Already a couple of held balls being called down this end specifically, so Swifts should be mindful to keep that defensive intent high going into this last 10 minutes.
For the difference. And have a look, the Nissan Net points match leaders. It is now all West Coast Fever, and they're only up by 4. I find that fascinating.
It is. I think it's a sign that this team has more to give. The gains, for me, are the difference, but it's not making the difference in the game because they're not scoring off of them consistently. Swifts are doing a fantastic job to ride that pressure, to stay in the game, put themselves ultimately where they need to be scoreboard-wise at the end of the match.
Well, we just saw the gains come up on screen too, and a couple of the Australian diamonds for the defence end. Stacey Marinkovic will be rapt to see that kind of form. Teague-Neal! Well, she looks in shock at the umpire. Maddie Proud rips the ball out of her hand and wants to get on with the job here.
It's absolutely a moment for the Swifts here. They can capitalise off of that offensive contact. Sunday Ariang is keen to stop them. Hadley's pleading with the umpire, but for me, that was a moment of poor decision-making on the feed.
Well, that to me also screams Helen Housby's not feeling confident. She would normally get herself in a position to take that ball. She set a screen, no interest in taking the ball. That's where that miscommunication came from.
Couple of work-ons for them there then, Kath.
Well, they've got to do it quickly, don't they? The New South Wales Swifts, 8 minutes to play. I wouldn't rule Helen Housby out of any contest, though. Doing lots of work out the front. We spoke about that. Still the most feeds, or equal with Proud, than the centre court. But this is where she's got to start to dominate.
Heavy exhale at the end of that shot, Kath. Sorry to interrupt you, but she does look like she's carrying the weight of the Swiss world on her shoulders at the moment, but working her way through it.
3 the difference.
Wowee, a Janelle Fowler sandwich in that circle there, still able to pull that ball in. I think defensively the Swifts might have done more damage to each other than they did to Janelle.
Just keeps on keeping on. Janelle Fowler for the difference. Kim Green, the penalties for the New South Wales Swifts, something we've spoken about whole game. Is it becoming an issue?
Yeah, it is becoming an issue, but I want to talk about the season average for the Swifts at the moment is 53.5. Today they're sitting at 74. So they are not staying in play and they're not able to get hand on ball either. So it's either you go and have a crack at something hard or stay in play, build pressure.
Oh, talking about building pressure. Sarah Cloud there, 2 hands up and on that intercept.
I think she heard you, Kim Green. Sarah Cloud took it cleanly, had a go.
So we see here there the Harvey Norman replay.
70 penalties. Wow, that is a lot for the New South Wales Swifts.
Where you are.
I think there are absolutely some ill-disciplined moments, but also I think a real intent by the umpires to not let physicality. Oh my gosh, Courtney Bruce from behind, one of the tallest shooters in the world, I'm going to say, but in this league as well. Her ability to do that cleanly is definitely something you should be watching as a young defender. So you see here on this Harvey Norman replay, gets a hand in there. Aitken George not able to pull that ball in with 2 hands. Courtney Bruce happy to make her pay.
We'll talk about the Australian Diamonds defenders standing up where needed to. Only 5 gains from both sides in this last quarter. 3 to Courtney Bruce, 2 to Sarah Cloud. Wow, I was feeling very strongly about another extra time game, and I'm starting to sweat. Dan Ryan clearly is as well. It's an HCF tactical timeout to the West Coast Fever, and we're going to get straight down there and have a listen to the tactician. What does he want from his side in this last 5 and a bit minutes?
They're coming nice and close. Extra speed and work rate here through Koshi. So everything to circle edge, strong 1-point position from you, all right? And just take your drives in your super shot range. And then if, again, score at the moment, we're up and in control, so just take the 1s. If we need to go to the 2s, back in your beautiful skills, all right? It's nice and simple, all right? Really important. Down and pick up the centre and don't let them into the goal field, all right? Use your weapons to your moment, all right?
Ball from sideline, whoever's got on the back
Jesus Bayman in that timeout. Emma Kosh has come onto the game for the West Coast Fever at goal attack. Sasha Glasgow to the bench. What do you make of that change?
Outrageous scenes here. Emma Kosh entering the game. Huge pressure on her shoulders, almost a mirror image of what we saw last week when Sophie Fawns came into the match. Let's see what she can do.
Well, Sasha Glasgow was just 1 of 2 from super shot territory. We are 28 seconds away from that period. What is Emma Kosh going to be able to produce in those moments? There she is, just saw her out for the centre pass. Ball in hand, Emma Kosh. What a moment for her. Beautiful feed into Fowler. Fowler can get them to 60 and a gap of 4. Can you imagine what the Adelaide Thunderbirds are thinking, sitting at home, watching this game? Who are they going to play in 5 minutes' time? That was the siren, the last power 5 of the game. Long ball, smart ball from the captain, Proud. Sophie Fawns back into the action as well for the New South Wales Swifts. It dribbles in for Sophie Fawns, 5 from 8 Suncorp super shots. Sophie Fawns, 2 the difference.
She looks like she's having the best time out there. Get the ball into Sophie Fawns' hands because she looks like she's going to be able to shoot the game out for the Swifts.
She's looking nothing but confident. I completely agree with you. Whoa, the pressure now on the West Coast Fever. We've seen them in a lot of close games this year, Stacey, and most of them they haven't been able to close out. How much of that comes flooding back to their headspace right now?
I think they will try and sit in a confident headspace of the pressure of the game of last week. As we see Paige Hadley there, shoot the ball straight down the middle to a Helen Hasby super shot, which rims out. Courtney Bruce obviously there for the rebounds. Fever back on the attack.
Well, that could be a very crucial part of this puzzle. Helen Housby, the opportunity to have got it back to 1 the difference.
Emma Kosh doing a mountain of work out there at the front. Swift still not happy to let anybody shoot 2s in that West Coast Fever circle.
Goals from Gaines, 11 to 2. The West Coast Fever. Oh, hit from Sophie Fawns. She can do no wrong here today at Kudos Bank Arena.
I think we're seeing more tactical brilliance here from Bryony Akel. That switch of Fawns out to goal attack, Housby to goal shooter. Mind you, I wouldn't want to be back there against a Courtney Bruce.
Helen Housby doesn't even look like she wants the ball. Sophie Fawns, however, does. Housby, she's got to sink it. She does.
Huge roar from Housby, huge moment for the Swifts.
The centre pass to follow for the New South Wales Swifts, down by 2. It's a super shot here, and it's level for the New South Wales Swifts. Hadley, the experience on the court. Housby, Sophie Fawns still demanding the ball. Nails it! Sophie Fawns, it's level, 62 apiece.
Throws both her hands up in the air. She wants more. The Swifts crowd want more.
Can you believe it? The New South Wales Swifts, Janelle Fowler, the pin in the cushion, takes the 1. Bryony Akel, the poker face. 1 the difference.
This is exactly where you see what teams are made of. How bold are you? How strong your attacking and defensive structures?
Sophie Fawns, another 1. Sophie Fawns. Look at the crowd. Look at the bench for the New South Wales Swifts. And here's the score breakdown off the back of some Sophie Fawns brilliance. The Swifts up by 6 in this final quarter, and they hit the lead by 1. Janelle Fowler, again, the boo, it rings out. Emma Kosh.
Oh my goodness, that could have been a moment. This will be a beautiful opportunity to go to post for Emma Kosh. Both defenders are out. Ably supported by Janelle Fowler there on the rebound.
Well, let's get up the extra time reminder. Here it is, 5 minutes extra will be played. The rolling substitute still in play, the super shot still in play. Wow, surely not. 2 weeks in a row for the New South Wales Swifts.
What do you do here? Do you go for a quick goal? Do you play the clock down?
Well, they're playing it down a little by the look of it. That's the experience and the smarts that wasn't on the court last week for them. Again, Hadley chewing up very valuable seconds. At the end of the day, they've got a score in McCosh. Well, spare a thought for the New South Wales Swifts fans. Another week. Proud. 30 seconds to play here, the New South Wales Swifts. They only need a 1, but they want to take as much time off this clock as they possibly can.
Defenders need to stay so clean in this moment in the circle.
Well, a 2 here would guarantee them the game if Fever get the ball back, but no. Smart, the New South Wales Swifts. Sophie Fawns, gotta sink it. She does! Sophie Fawns! Up by 1, the New South Wales Swifts, and that will be it. The New South Wales Swifts. Watch out, Adelaide Thunderbirds. Here come the Swifts. Grand final bound, and they'll have nothing but revenge on their minds. Right in the middle of it all. Verity Simmons devastated. Emma Kosh likewise.
Swifts almost in shock of what they were able to achieve there in that final quarter. 19 goals to 13 in the 4th quarter. Sophie Fawns, take a bow.
What a performance. What a way to respond, Sophie Fawns.
Right back at you girls. What a phenomenal venue, and to have this many people here supporting you guys, a few of us, but absolutely awesome arena, awesome game. Good luck next week. We'll be neutral and cheering everyone on for a good game of netball, but enjoy it. Fever, 3 cheers to Spears, hip hip hip.
What a beautiful moment to be able to listen to the words coming from the captains. The New South Wales Swifts look in complete shock, elated. Sophie Fawns, without doubt, the hero.
Well, I have Sarah Clow here. My goodness, those last moments and coming up with that intercept, tell me how it felt out there.
We knew it was going to be a tough challenge, and it was going to come down to the final few seconds. I can't even hear myself speak right now, but honestly, so proud of the girls. Obviously, last week we were extremely disappointed, so we had a lot to prove, and yeah, they're a quality side, so we knew we had to bring our best.
Well, the last time you were in front in this game was quarter 1, 10 minutes and 39 seconds on the clock. So to come through with that win, my goodness, what did Bryony April say in that last time out?
We've done a lot of, being in the moment, process-driven, not focusing on, the bigger picture. So I think it was just breaking it down, focusing on, celebrating those little wins because they make a huge difference at the end.
Well, and how long do you celebrate before going to the big GF?
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely, celebrate this one. The girls had an amazing game, but the job's not done. We've still got one more to go, so a lot to take from that game moving forward, so it's very exciting.
Well, congratulations again, Sarah.
Thanks, Kimmy.
Ladies and gentlemen, look who I have with me. I have Sophie Fawns. You were an absolute star tonight, Sophie. Congratulations. You are heading to your very first Suncorp Super Netball Grand Final. Tell me how you feel.
Thank you. I feel absolutely over the moon. Ecstatic, my first Grand Final. I think I couldn't ask for a better team to do it with. I'm just elated, so happy.
7 from 11 super shots tonight to help clinch the win for the Swifts, snatching it from really the jaws of defeat. How did you bounce back after a couple of sterling rejections last week?
Yeah, I think we really shifted our focus this week, obviously.
Hadley here as well, Paige. Talk to me as a captain, as a leader, how you stand up in the process of this crowd in particular, but also knowing that the game was on the line.
Yeah, I think it was like ebbs and flows, but I thought we had momentum towards the end of the fourth, and I thought Soph and Helen did an awesome job to get us back in there. But I looked at the clock and I was like, all right, a minute. What do we need? We need 1 point. And I'm like, what's our traditional game? It's playing it around. So I went to that. Our defenders were awesome on the line, and props to our shooters, calm under pressure, and got the job done for us.
Well, and there was a lot of ball playing around in that attack end, probably not as much flow as what you would have liked, but still got the job done. How did it feel when you were out on court?
Yeah, I think last week we were doing the same thing, but then just letting that undisciplined ball go over the defender. But I thought today we stuck to the process. If it took 50 balls, it took 50 balls. We didn't throw balls for nothing, and really proud of the style of netball we played, and to grind it out and win in the last 5 seconds. When last week we lost in the last 5 seconds, so really, really proud of this group.
And tell me about this crowd, because they are incredible. They got you over the line tonight, but you must be just so thankful for everyone getting out here on a Saturday night and just cheering you guys on over the line.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to see this crowd in Melbourne. I'm sure they're going to book their flights right now. But I think all year they've just been unreal. And I thought last week they came out and they were just unreal. And then tonight really got us over that line. The last centre pass, they were on the edge of their seat. And I couldn't be prouder to play for New South Wales and have fans and members like this. They're just unreal.
Well done, Paigey. Congrats.
Thank you.
From one co-captain to another, Paige Hadley straight into Maddie Proud. Congratulations, Maddie Proud. You won a premiership with the Swifts in 2021. You are heading to your second grand final. We'll see you in Melbourne next Saturday night. But at one stage, the Fever were up by 7. How on earth did you claw this one back?
Oh, I think we were in the opposite position last week, and it seems like I think we're more comfortable when we're chasing a lead. So I think we just had that belief, and we knew that today was do or die. There was no tomorrow, and I think in those last 5 minutes there was almost a sense of calm within the team, and it was that we knew what we needed to do. We had the plan for it, and even when things didn't go our way, just having that grit and that ability to dig deep. And God, to have the ball in the hands of a Sophie Fawns at the end of the game and be cool as a cucumber, I think that just shows we played all 10 players tonight. The faith that Bryony, the coaching staff, and all the players have in every single player is just incredible, and it was just a beautiful game to be part of.
How proud are you when you're watching your least experienced player, Sophie Fawns, take the game into her hands and win it for you guys?
To be honest, I think I was walking back to the centre pass. I had that much confidence in her. I think, she just came on and she was upset last week after the way that ended, and she's just a player that she just is so calm under pressure. She just knows what she needs to do, and I think she just, is an absolute star of the future, and I'm just so proud of her.
Everyone cannot wait for our next instalment of one of the game's best rivalries, the New South Wales Swifts and the Adelaide Thunderbirds in the 2023 Grand Final. We'll see you in Melbourne.
Third time's a charm.
Thank you, Maddie Proud there. Let's head over to Kim Green, who's got our player of the match.
Thanks, Han. Yes, I have Helen Housby, our player of the match. Clutch from you. You were fantastic out the front. You did a wealth of work. Tell me what it feels like to get in that circle with the Sophie Fawns, but also to just nail it in those pressure moments.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Firstly, I want to thank this amazing crowd. You guys are epic. Look, I wasn't that accurate on the twos today, but Sophie Fawns was, so it goes to show that we put in so much hard work. The three shooters at the Swifts, I think, have shot more goals than anyone else in the world this fucking season. Sorry for my language. we put in an enormous amount of work, and you know that's why it happens. It doesn't just happen by chance, and I'm so proud of Sophie. I mean, she's just came on leaps and bounds since I knew her, and she's just got ice in her veins, and she wants to shoot the ball, and she wants it in her hands, and that's all you can ask for for a teammate. And to deliver on the biggest stage like that is it's pretty special, yeah.
Well, and it must have been disappointing last week, but then to come out here and completely shift the story, change the storyline. What was the work that was done behind the scenes?
To be honest, it was kind of like not going into panic stations for us, going back to the drawing board, having a really good week at training, but celebrating every little good thing that we can do, and really riding positive energy. I think when we play with joy, we're unbeatable, and I think it's when we kind of go inside ourselves that we get beaten. So yeah, for us it wasn't about changing too much, just fine-tuning a couple of things. We know on our best day we can beat anyone, and yeah, I think the training that we did this week was really instrumental in getting the win today.
Well, and lastly, the last time you were in this position, 2019. Tell me how that went down.
It went pretty well, to be honest. Yeah, we've obviously got some good memories of grand finals in the last couple of years, and we seem to like odd numbers, so 2019, 2021, and hopefully 2023, yeah.
Well, all the best and good luck next week.
Thank you.
That was star shooter for the New South Wales Swifts, Helen Housby, in our Player of the Match post-game interview brought to you by the all-new Nissan Qashqai. Stacey, someone like Helen Housby doesn't know what it's like to get to a Suncorp Super Netball Grand Final and not win it. She's been there twice and she's won 2 premierships off the back of it. 1 goal the difference at full time, 65-64 here at Kudos Bank Arena. How do you sum up what you just saw in the preliminary final?
I have no idea how to be articulate about that performance, but the way in which the Swifts were able to turn around that fourth quarter was incredible. 19 goals to 13, huge. They were trailing for most of the game, but as Helen alluded to earlier, that composure under pressure and also that fun and joy was mostly being radiated through Sophie Fawns, but it was more than enough to get them across the line tonight.
Someone like Sophie Fawns, 7 from 11 in the super shots. I'll come back to the attackers in a minute, but defensively, the likes of Sarah Clow, she was doing so much hard work in that defensive circle to get the ball back.
Absolutely right, and that change that happened quite early defensively for me was a bit of a shift. Moving Clow out, putting Turner across onto the wing defence. I think the physicality and the impact that she had on Alice Teague-Neal was impressive. Her hands over was slowing down that feed, but they stayed in it. Swifts would never say die, and they just were waiting for that one moment or that one person to turn their fortune.
How did they bounce back so profoundly from last week?
You would imagine that there was a severe rocket put up somewhere quite uncomfortable to make them turn that performance around. They'd be disappointed to have come into the final series off the back of a couple of losses, but they went back to basics. They have confidence in themselves. They've been there before, and they just did the work at training and trusted the process was going to come out on court tonight.
What's your assessment of the tactical decisions, positional changes you spoke about defensively, but it happened in the midcourt as well and then up front with the attackers? What did you make of Bryony's approach?
Well, I feel like I threw the gauntlet out there at the start of the game, questioning whether the tactical choices had as much impact as the coaches would have liked, and I think both players and coaches have a responsibility to make those moments work, and tonight they worked over and over. She rang the changes at the right time, she kept legs fresh, she made impact, put players in places where they could make impact and nullify opponents, and it was really smart for me, tactically delivered.
And the crowd. Talk about having an 8th player out on court. How much of an influence do you think a packed-out Kudos Bank Arena had on the result tonight?
I think towards the end of the game, it was incredibly important. At times when Swifts couldn't find their own momentum, their own vibe on court, they were able to get it off of the court. Playing at home in any SSN game is a massive weapon, but to be here 2 weeks in a row, you knew the crowd was going to turn out and do what they needed to do to get the Swifts across the line.
We will have more exclusive reaction to come after the Swifts' 1-goal winner over the Fever tonight that rockets them into the grand final next Saturday night. Right after this, the Swifts will officially take on the Adelaide Thunderbirds, who I'm sure will have had one eye on tonight's game, that's for sure.